the difference between Tadabbur and Tafseer, Tafseer on one hand is the formulating of accurate information because it's such deep language, just like poetry, right? I'm not comparing the Quran to poetry by any means, but this is just an analogy so that it's easier to understand. Poetry can be interpreted in various ways. So the poet saying, and I have miles to go before I sleep, can be interpreted as lots of work being done, and then there's a long time before I can actually go and take rest. It can also be interpreted, it has been interpreted as the poet meaning that I have a long life to live before I die. It's also been interpreted as the poet's desire to die, to commit suicide because he's tired of this world. What I'm trying to get at here is that this is the interpretation of the verse in the poem. The basic meaning, I have a long journey to take until I am able to release myself of these responsibilities. That's tafsir. It's not translation, it's tafsir. So tafsir in the sense is what information am I getting from each word that comes, and how do I present that in an understandable way, in a way that anyone reading it will be able to say, oh, okay, that's what the ayah said. But then tadabbur is you taking that verse, let's say, going back to that poem, taking that verse and relating yourself to the narrator of the poem or whoever speaking, and feeling, this is how I relate to this verse. This is how I interpret this, guys. And the interpretations, the different interpretations that are coming out of the same verse or the same line are that person running that verse through their life experiences, their culture, their whatever it is that they're in, and kind of coming up with their own version of what it might mean. Tadabbur it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. So when I'm sitting here talking about, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ, do they not ponder? Ponder, I can interpret in various different ways. So some people will take it, Allah is asking me to really, really, really think about what He said. Definitely. Some other people might say, no, it's Allah saying, hey, take this ayah, compare it to everything else even other ayah in the Quran, and come up with a summation of the concept that I'm trying to throw at you. And then relate that to how you're going to turn that knowledge and understanding into action, into your own life, so that you can earn Jannah. That's one other interpretation. So on and so forth. So tadabbur is the reader of the ayah understanding the tafsir. You can't eliminate tafsir. Understanding the tafsir. So what do the scholars say? What have other people said? What have the first companions said? What has the Prophet ﷺ himself said about this ayah? And then taking that, all of that information, doing a little bit of research yourself, looking at words. What does this word mean? What does that word mean? How do I understand this word? How do I understand that word? What's the source? Most tafsir will do that work for you, but not for all words, not for everything. And you have to kind of do your own research. And then sit down and really, really think about what Allah said. And how does that relate to my life? What am I supposed to be getting? Why did Allah put this in the Quran?